To touch on shape up your startup journey. That's our topic. And we have a seasoned startup evangelist and a startup incubator strategist who acted as a key executionist in launching Sri Lanka's first government-funded incubator and the country's first industry-focused accelerator in 2010 and 2014 respectively. Currently, he heads CrowdIsland.lk, Sri Lanka's first equity crowdfunding platform. Please put your hands together and welcome on stage startup evangelist and CEO, CrowdIsland.lk, Chalinda Abeykoon.
I say good evening. Thank you. So this is what 2,500 people looks like from here. All right, so it looks like it's me who's in between the actual event that everyone is here for, which is the Google I/O event. So I'm not going to bore you with all the little details, just going to get right into the presentation. Can I see a show of hands of those who are running startups or looking to run startups? All right, quite a few guys. So quite interestingly, when we started doing this, the whole startup ecosystem in Sri Lanka back in 2010, I used the same question at a couple of universities, and no one was interested in starting their own company. They were like, why should I start my own company? I want to go and work for Virtusa. Interestingly enough, some of them also said that they already had a job which was going to pay them 80,000 rupees. At that time, I was at ICTA, I think Fire's team, and my salary was 25,000. And I was trying to convince these guys to forget the 80,000 job and start their own company. So this is what the actual startup journey looks like. I was going to use something similar to the Windows XP desktop. Anybody remember the Windows XP desktop, which was very cool back in the days, which was also like a startup. It took at least 20 minutes to boot up to get to that desktop. So it's actually very rigid and it's very messy. And right now, when you fast forward 7-8 years since the war ended, everyone is trying to do startups now. Every single university has programs, and then there are so much of competitions, hackathons, and various other initiatives. Does anybody know who this person is? Not the gentleman in the front row. Anyone in the back? This gentleman is the reason why each and every one of you is here today. So this is Andy Bettelsheim. He was the angel investor who wrote a check for $100,000 to Larry and Sergey back in 1998. So interestingly, they started the company in 1996, but the company was not registered, and it was Andy who wrote the check under the name Google, which motivated them to register the organization Google and start the organization. So he wrote $100,000, and in 2010, his $100,000 was worth $1.7 billion. 100,000 in just 12 years. And he also founded the company called Sun Microsystems. Right, so let's get started. So there are 5 factors. There was a research done by a company called Idea Labs in the US. They have funded over 100 startups for a period of time. So a guy who started a company called Bill Gibbs, I think, if I'm not mistaken, took 100 of the companies that they invested and another 100 companies and tried to see what was so special about startups and what were the success factors. So first one is, according to this, is funding, business plan, the idea, the team, and time. Who thinks that funding is the most important element? Raise of hands. There's one. A bit more higher, please. All right, there's a few people. Great. Who thinks that the business plan is the most important key factor when it comes to the success of a startup? A little bit more people. Okay, great. The idea? Majority, okay. The team? Okay, it's going down. Time? All right, few. Actually, funding is the least important factor. Business plan is the second. Idea, 28%, 32% on the team. And finally, the most critical factor is time, which was completely the opposite of what people thought about. People thought that if you had a cool idea, you will get funding, you can go start your business, start earning money. In fact, this is how even we started, myself, we started creating business plan competitions to select ideas. We went to universities, got the students to pitch to us and selected the best ideas. And over the past 7 years, I've worked very closely for more than 50 early stage startups, and I applied this same theory to see what it was like. So in the Sri Lankan context, it was slightly different. What I found was that in Sri Lanka, the team is the most critical factor. Time is second, then idea, business plan, funding. So why is time so important? I have a hard stop in 10 minutes that I've been told. So the time is more important because it's related to the market. In Sri Lanka, we saw that if you take a couple of years ago, when Anything.lk started, within 3 months, there were at least 10 other companies which were doing similar projects. A couple of years ago, PickMe started ride sharing, and to this day, I still get an application asking for funding for a ride-sharing app, and they say that our business model is completely different. So obvious question, what is so different? We are 10 rupees cheaper than PickMe. So that's their differentiator. So the reason why time is more important is that it's related, that's the only factor which you can't control. Funding, you can raise funds. You can pivot your idea. You can change your business plan. You can hire and fire your teammates, but you can't rewind or fast forward when it comes to time. So it goes hand in hand with market. And in today's context, it's really good if you can focus, if you have an idea, those who raise their hands when they say that they want to start a company, to focus on a small but rapidly growing market. We saw that with Inspire Sri Lanka. I was a part of the first round judging panel, and we saw for the first time engineers trying to solve problems in the agriculture, which we didn't see in the past 2-3 years. What we didn't see was that the entire team comprised of all engineers. No one really had any domain knowledge about agriculture. So if you're trying to have an idea, think about it, do a lot of research, at least spend 3 months doing research, talking to people, going and understanding the problem. Because end of the day, they will say whether you are successfully solve the problem or not. No matter how hell-bent you are that your product is superior, unless they think otherwise, you will not be successful. So then we come to team. Again, so something that I still see lacking in the Sri Lankan ecosystem, most of these examples are related to Sri Lanka, is that we always have teams which are built around our friends from the same batch, from the same degree. They do not have the domain expertise or other skills that is required. You are right now in the best place possible. You are among 2,000, more than 2,200 people that I'm told. Speak to each other. Each person has a unique skill which will be useful for you. All the team members need to see the opportunity, and all of them need to feel the pain. So I've decided a model where for a month there's at least 30 companies that come to us for funding, and it's very easy to filter them out. There are three types. One, there are entrepreneurs. Right now, being a founder or a startup is pretty cool. Not like in 2009 or 10 when you said that you are going to start your company, people obviously thought that you couldn't find a job, so now you are trying to do your own thing. But 7 years later, it is so cool to go and say that, I'm a founder, I have my own company. The second type is those who see the opportunity. The problem with seeing the opportunity is every single other person is also seeing the opportunity, and this window of opportunity is something that is going to reduce day by day. So unless you can execute faster than the competition, you will not survive. The third category of founders are obviously the guys who have actually felt it, and they really, really want to solve. That is why even the winner of Inspire Sri Lanka has been in the farming industry for generations, his father, his grandfather, and they've been doing this, and it's such a pain to go through, so they want to solve rather than complaining. So make sure when you build teams, you pick people from different disciplines who has different experience so that you can have a well-balanced team. When it comes to idea, so I'm just going to go very quickly. The most important fact is that you should find an idea and build a product which a few people absolutely love it, as opposed to many people who likes it. Those people who likes, so we get companies coming and saying, oh, we have 2,500 downloads, but when you start asking questions, you see that their uninstall rate is about 60-70%. Right? You focus on a group of people, a small, 5-10 people who absolutely love it, and try to improve that product from that point onwards. Right now, an extra blade in your razor would definitely help, but you're not gonna die if that blade is not included, right? So don't try to be another Me Too. So just before I finish, I want to talk something about this. So a couple of years ago, I invested a little bit of my personal money and took part in a team which were trying to do agro farming in terms of organic farming, and we were planning on delivering it from door to door. So it's essentially, farm to fridge concept. And we were working out of Kurunegala, and we built this model. We had a website. We knew that if you were a family of 4, 2 adults, 2 kids, how much of vegetables would you consume on a week and how much of fruits you would need. So we did the basic groundwork and we launched it. And the men loved it. For the first time, they don't have to wake up on a weekend, drive their wives to the market, find parking, wait till the wife goes and picks up all the vegetables, and then there's traffic. So they absolutely loved it. But interestingly, the females hated it. So we had a problem now, because usually in a family, the decision-making power lies with the mother or the wife. And now we had a cool, I see my colleagues agreeing as well. So can anyone guess why this is? So the problem was, the weekend was the chance for the female to get out of the house and interact with the community. and hence they hated it. So that ends my story and my time. So like I said, spend a lot of time trying to understand the problem from the customer's point of view and build solutions to that. And good luck to everyone. Thank you.